On this, let's speak now to Marwan Bishara, who's Al Jazeera's senior political analyst, and he joins us now live from Paris. Right, so Marwan, a remarkable press conference there from President Donald Trump, and now we're going into the summit with a French president who we've now said repeatedly has called NATO potentially brain dead because of what happened between Turkey and Syria, a Turkish leader who's now being accused of blackmailing his allies, and a US president who's again questioning the premise of whether or not the US will defend the alliance and berating people about spending. So right now, 70 years into NATO, is there a future for the alliance?
Well, clearly, from the way the leaders are approaching it, they don't seem to be optimistic themselves. That's why the entire 70th anniversary was, in fact, downgraded from summit to something we don't know what it is, actually, like a meeting or something. The fact a 70th anniversary of presumably the most successful military alliance in modern history would not be celebrated as in a summit, that in and by itself doesn't bode well for the alliance. Now, let's also remember a number of things that sort of underlying factors here. Each one of the main leaders of the NATO alliance has an issue at home. President Trump, the most stark example, has an impeachment starting tomorrow to really find out whether and how in the judiciary. President Macron here faces one of the probably greatest strikes in modern history of France in a couple of days. Boris Johnson is facing elections, an uphill battle, in fact, in those elections. Merkel, of course, is really leaving the scene for a conservative party that is not really finding its footing. So all of them have crises of sort. And they really don't see eye to eye on the challenges facing the West or the NATO alliance, in other words. Is it Russia? Is it China? Is it terror? And what President Macron said to The Economist here just almost a month ago was basically that NATO has lost its raison d'etre, the reason for its existence. He might have chosen not exact words, I'm not sure, but certainly what he's saying is if Turkey and the United States are going to act bilaterally on their own without consulting the rest of NATO members when something is important as Syria or as something else in the Middle East, then why do we have NATO? And if we don't agree on our policy towards Russia or towards Afghanistan for that matter, then why should we be in NATO? And if we don't agree with Turkey, neither on Syria nor on Libya, then why should there be NATO? So he's basically urging either a total revamp of NATO or, and here I go to the more macro-historical French understanding of security, and if let's all remember that France has always took a bit of an exception to other countries' membership in NATO until recently, like almost in the 1990s, when they actually joined full force. France would like to see a European defense structure with European military, European army, European nuclear force, an independent one that suits the European Union.
So, Marwan, let me ask you then, these tensions that we're seeing between Erdogan and Macron and Trump, could they derail the summit? And very briefly, could this potentially be the beginning of the end for NATO?
I don't think we're going to see the beginning of the end of NATO anytime soon. I think there have been reasons for French-Turkish tensions for a long time now, since France did not really encourage Turkey to join the EU. In fact, they even almost blocked them. And since also Erdogan has problem with France over the questions of Syria and Turkish role in the region, there's also something that was interesting. By the way, I did not find the press conference remarkable, except if you think every Trump press conference is remarkable in some way. But it was interesting that he admitted that the United States did not want to sell advanced Patriots to Turkey, hence forcing Turkey to buy S-400s from Moscow. I think that's an important admission, that Turkey did not just go off on some kind of a whim to buy Russian weapons, that it was denied as a NATO member to buy advanced Patriots from the United States. So all in all, we're going to see French-Turkish tensions, but by the way, there is going to be tomorrow a French British, German, Turkish meeting, right, on Syria and other issues.
Yes,
there's going to be French-American tension, but I don't think it's as important as we see it, because this has been for a while now about taxing American companies or not. And by the way, the French here say, look, they're making profits in Europe, they're making profits in France, and hence they should be taxable here.
Marwan Bishara there. We'll leave it there for now. Our senior political analyst. Thank you, Marwan.